Well, a couple of things, Roger. As you've identified here, there was a lack of offense from Team Canada, which is hard to explain. I don't think we have enough time in the segment to go through all of that from a hockey ops perspective. 13 goals, not enough. And then a lack of discipline, right? There can be finger pointing. You can look at international officiating and question some of the calls that were made or the calls that were missed, including the headshot on young star Gavin McKenna late in that hockey game. But the tone was set relatively early on the Cole Baudouin 5-minute major and the game misconduct in Canada. I don't think learned from that. The Gibson penalty, the 2-minute kneeing penalty late in that third period. Again, a questionable call, but that's a player that probably shouldn't be taking a run with a game on the line. So as I look back, that's what I'm looking at. Too few goals and too many penalties.
Watching that game last night, the third period, Canada, I think it was probably, I've seen about 3 of the games, probably the best period it felt like they played, at least the energy-wise. They would look so sluggish going into that period, though. What was, They just didn't seem inspired.
And again, that's a tough one to unravel and sort through and dissect. It really, truly is. But look, I think that Dave Cameron and the coaching staff for Canada are probably asking themselves the same questions this morning. It's not like they were shackling these young men throughout the tournament, but it seemed to be an unbridled sense of emotion. Okay, we have to fully commit in this third period. Otherwise, we are going to be dispatched yet again to Czechia. Now, that was the end game, clearly, as we saw Czechia score on the power play. But, it feels like if we had saw the same amount of emotion at varying points of the tournament, even to start that hockey game, we're probably having a different conversation. Could there have been in-game adjustments that were made in the third period by the coaching staff that should have been made earlier? Of course. But at the end of the day, the players, I'm sure, are questioning themselves on whether or not they did enough to push Canada on to the semifinal.
Now, and this is the second year in a row that they lost in the quarterfinals, first time ever. Does Canada have to sit down and rethink how they approach this?
Well, they will, whether they have to or not. I know the process that Hockey Canada and the management group that's assembled by Hockey Canada, that includes Canadian Hockey League executives and the coaching staff, will do just that. Scott Salmon has effectively been the head of hockey operations for a long, long time. So for sure, there will be follow-up conversations and meetings. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? When you look at the players, Roger, that were left off this roster initially, we're talking about top 10 NHL draft picks. That's where it starts. Did we make a mistake in the architecture of this team? And hindsight is a dangerous game to play, but you have to do that in looking forward. What I wonder about, though, and I'm not predicting that Canada isn't going to do well at the upcoming Four Nations face-off, but let's play the what-if game. What if they don't? What if they don't? Then I think Hockey Canada and that group will have bigger questions to ask. Overall, the state of international affairs as far as Hockey Canada is concerned.
Is this in some ways, though, good for Canada, maybe as a wake-up call, and also a little more parity amongst all the teams as well?
Well, let's start with the parity, and I think that's an important point. And it's time, if Canadian hockey fans aren't paying close attention, to respect what the other countries are bringing. We saw the Latvians beat Canada in this World Junior Championship in Ottawa. That was like winning Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final for Team Latvia. And that team has prepared. They invest the same amount emotionally. They just don't have the same resources to train and get these kids up to the same level of speed that we see from Canada and the United States. But now we're seeing it from Czechia, we're seeing it from some of these other countries. So I'm not going to disrespect Czechia. How can you, given the fact that, yeah, they beat Canada last night in dramatic fashion late on the power play, but they also beat Canada last year and kicked them out of the tournament. So high respect to Czechia and the other countries.
All right, Darren, appreciate it. Still 4 more games to go. So lots of great hockey to watch ahead on TSN, but we appreciate you stopping by. Thank you.
Thank you.